All right, hello everyone, and thanks for coming. Very excited to do this workshop with you today, be hands-on, actually build some real AI. If you have a laptop, feel free to bring it up, and you can probably even do something along with Stefan here and I. I'm Richard Socher, I'm the CEO of U.com, formerly Chief Scientist at Salesforce, professor at Stanford, invented prompt engineering and a few other things. And now very excited to bring this technology into journalism and other kinds of knowledge work. Stefan?
Yeah, good morning. My name is Stefan Voss. My job function is head of verification at the German news agency DPA, Deutsche Presseagentur, you might have heard of. We are one of the biggest state independent private news agencies in the world. And I have a lot of duties, and I was a foreign correspondent in the past in Ukraine and Russia. Now I am head of verification and an AI trainer. And I will take you on a journey on how to implement AI technology into the daily work routine of journalists. And we have a request, as it is a workshop, we are quite a lot of people. We would be very happy if you have questions, especially like technically, what's he talking about? What's that particular rag? Do not hesitate to raise your hand. I can promise that when you raise your hand and you have a question that a group of others has the same question, not hesitate. The second thing is, very shortly, I will introduce you to so-called agents or special GPTs. Those are trained projects we'll do a little bit later. And has any one of you ever built a special GPT or an agent just for your purposes? Ah, wonderful, a few of them. Don't worry, I will not quote you here to show it. But I would present the idea of agents, which you can do with U.com or with other LLMs, and maybe you can just think about a potential project for yourself throughout the workshop. And we would be happy just to discuss it a little bit, your idea. Is that feasible? Can we do that so far? Richard.
Amazing. This will be the highlight. I'll just give a little bit of an overview of how to think about AI, where things are going, and what we're going to do. So I think we just covered this really well. Thank you, Stefan, already. So, I think there's I think it's becoming more and more important, right? Journalism is, to some degree, has several attack or threat vectors, right? There's like social media and so on. But as with every crisis, there's also an opportunity. It's actually, if you're a startup CEO, you have to remind yourself of that a lot, because a small company, there's always some kind of crises. But many times, you can actually convert them into opportunities. I think right now, there are a lot of technology companies, and whether you're in 1 to 5 years depends kind of on where you are and where your readership is in terms of technology adoption period. In fact, if you're in Silicon Valley, it's already over, like it's 0 years. But you have right now the opportunity to basically educate consumers that when they have follow-up questions to something they're reading on the news, they can ask those follow-up questions right there with you on your own websites. That window will close, and at some point they'll say, oh, obviously whenever I have a question, I have to go to ChatGPT or U.com or something else rather than your own website. And that's what we're trying to help you with, is to build your own GPTs, not just for internal efficiencies, but also on your websites. So what is U.com? We essentially provide you with answers, agents, and AGI to organize your information, make it meaningful, make you more productive. Concretely, answers is a pretty broad thing. If you're an insurance company, you might want to get an answer of what should I do with this claim. If you're a hedge fund or an investor, you might want to get an answer on, should I invest in this company, who are the founders, and so on. So a lot of different kinds of answers for different kinds of knowledge work. Agents is basically a general term now. We'll go into a little bit how we define them, but they're tools to automate your workflows. And an AGI sounded a little bit like a wacky thing. It's called artificial general intelligence. It's not just AI models that do one particular task, but they're actually much more general purpose, and you can ask them all kinds of different questions, and they will give you different kinds of answers or do actions for you. Depending on how you define AGI, it's either several decades away or it's almost here. One definition of artificial general intelligence could be that it's a single AI model or system that automates 80% of the workflows of 80% of digitized work. That's, 64% of all things that people do on a computer. That's $1 trillion industry, and I think we're not more than like 2 or 3 years away from that at this point, right? And that will change all kinds of knowledge work that people do on a computer. Now, of course, as a journalism, you're not only on a computer, right? You're also, many of you are talking to people, and AI is not going to automate that and traveling and seeing what's actually happening on the ground. But a lot of the digitized work can be automated. And then, as with many things like the internet, the future is already here. It's just not equally distributed, right? There's still parts of the world that don't have broadband internet. Even in Germany, you drive an hour out of Berlin into Meseberg, and there's no more broadband internet. But the future is very much headed there, and there are very much these possibilities. All right, so what is RAG? It's a term we use quite a bit. It stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. The generation bit is what large language models, LLMs, already do, right? But you can think of the LLM as maybe your drunk uncle who will invent some stories at a party, and the facts might not quite be right. But when you augment your uncle with, like, every time you say something, first look up things on the internet or in my own internal database, and then of facts, my own set of articles, for instance, as a journalist. Then like make sure you cite where you found those facts. Then you can make that generation of an AI and an LLM much more augmented and more accurate. And that's when we retrieve information from the web or from our internal archives, then we call that retrieval augmented generation. And there's a lot of technology that goes into that. I don't think we have to go through all the details, but I'll give you a sense that this is more than just a large language model. In fact, technology-wise, you have a large language model, and that large language model can trigger to say, I want to do a search to answer that question. And then you have a whole search engine behind it, something like a Google. We have our own search index also at u.com of the web. You can then connect it to your internal archives. You can combine different archives. There are all kinds of things that happen in that search layer. And that search layer is also highly non-trivial. And if you mess up the search layer, then the LLM will also give you wrong answers. So for example, if I ask what's new with Trump, and my search index pulls out a bunch of articles from 6 years ago, because the search was not well implemented, and now those articles from 6 years ago are given to an LLM, and you're telling the LLM, use those facts somehow that you got from your search index, then you won't get an accurate answer back from the LLM, right? So the LLMs are very much garbage in, garbage out types of models. You give them wrong facts from the past or from some time that is not relevant for your current task, they will not be able to recover very well. So, and just to give you a sense of the other complexities, when you now have a conversation with an LLM and you ask a follow-up question and you say, when was he born? Or when were they founded? Now, if you just take when was he born and you send that to your archives or Google or something, right, nothing useful will come back. So we at u.com and many other companies had to build what we call query rewriters. And this is just one of dozens of modules to make this accurate. It's part of this query understanding bit here and the context assembly of different parts of your search index. And then when you actually look at the conversation, you say, okay, it was about the company Salesforce, and so when was it founded should really be when was Salesforce founded, and now you can say and send Salesforce when was it founded to your search engine, and then you will get useful context back, and then the LM will answer that for you correctly. And you have a citation because you found, like the search results for that query were the following 10 links, and this one had actually extracted information. So that just goes to show that the LLM is a central piece of all this technology, but there are lots of different AI models, like a query rewriter that, based on the context, connects better to the search engine. I'll pause there, because that was a lot to digest, probably. Any questions so far?
Yes.
Is there a danger of RAG infecting your database of trusted sources by mixing up info that it retrieves from elsewhere, or is it a secure one-way filter system?
Great question. So, in fact, RAG is maybe the main way to help your system stay more accurate, because you can actually tell the LLM only answer questions if you found facts in my archives. And so one of the many subtleties, and that I think U.com actually gets better than most anyone else, is that we will tell you, I don't know, because I didn't find any information about that in the search results. Most other LMs and chat models overall and systems actually will make up something if they can't find the facts online. But you can guide these models and tell them, like, to stick to what it found in the search. And then the search becomes even more important. But yeah, if you do RAG over your internal data only, then you're just less likely to have all the facts in there and more often get to hear the answer, I'm not sure. I don't find those facts. Like the soccer trainer example we gave before. If you use the whole internet as your search backend, then you might get things from the internet that were not correct, right? And then you have to verify the citations, just like you did when you manually searched on Google and you click on a link, and then that link is just, shows you something that's wrong. And so what we also allow on U.com now is to actually exclude certain websites from that searching over the internet, so you can avoid those kinds of situations. And essentially, you can think of this as like things that you used to do manually, now you just have to manage and guide your AI to do them better. And so just like you were like, oh, I shouldn't trust this website when I search something on Google, now you should tell your agent, your intern, your AI, don't trust this website when you do the searching automatically for me.
If I may add on that from our journalistic perspective on that, as you said, it's really important that when you work with chatbots, it often happens that you just analyze that document for me, please, and only extract facts or information from the document. Getting better, but in our closed system that we see at DPA, you ask a question and the answer will, as you have said, will only be out of our archive, which is cool, which is good. But you might also see, I mean, as I said, we were founded in 1949, 76 years. We have quite a big archive, but it's all relative, having a big archive. It is our archive, and it's only our archive. So things we have not reported about, and yes, there are a lot of things DPA has not reported about, are not in there. Yes, but that's the limitation you have. That's the compromise you might get. But the pluses, and we'll see that in a minute, also for us, is for our journalists and our clients in the future will be that they only get the trusted information from us to work further on. So there is no mixture of any web content, or even worse, web content, which is already AI generated. Yeah? That is, pure in a way. As said, of course, it would be in a way, in the dream world, we would have, like in Germany, we would have all media outlets in Germany, all with a high reputation, have them together in an archive. That would be even better, of course. If that's feasible, I don't know. So that's the situation as it is.
Hi there. Yeah, thank you so far. So can you expand on query rewriter a little bit? Because it sounds as though that the search index is a key part of this RAG development. Does it function like a paraphraser that translates human questions into a language that AI understands? And how does that work?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so I gave some examples of this query rewriter. It's essentially taking your context and transforming your context into a potential set of queries. Those are still all in normal English. So the input is English usually, or whatever other language you want to use, German, French, Spanish, Chinese, doesn't matter. So like you take language input and you give language output, but the language output is modified such that it's usefully given as an input to a search engine. So imagine you have a long conversation and you just ask things like, when were they founded? When did that start? When did they first fight each other? And so all of these things that have some anaphoras, and you need to do what's called co-reference resolution in natural language processing, where it's like a they, them, it, he, she, they, and so on. Like you need to take the context and say, well, what's the organization, what could it refer to, so that you then don't send like when was it started or when did they start fighting. That wouldn't give you anything useful back from if you type that into Google or a search engine. So it's essentially a transformation model. Now, it's not always just like taking a human question and rephrasing it, because it might also just be like you're in the middle of a conversation and you have a PDF file and you just upload a PDF file and you say, is this correct? And now, you want to ideally, most likely the LLM won't know all the facts of the world perfectly, and so you need to take all that PDF file and all the text in it, and you need to not just rewrite a human question into a search engine question, but you need to actually just extract like a bunch of facts, and then you need to go and take those facts from that PDF file, put those onto the internet, see if there are sources that corroborate those facts or disprove those facts, and then bring those search results back into the conversation. So it's more than just like a question-to-question rewriter. It might be any context, infuse real facts from my archives or the internet into that answer that comes after.
May I contribute one thing to that? Excuse me, just a second. Those of you who have heard about RAGs already a little bit, you might have read also very skeptical assessments on RAGs. This doesn't work, it doesn't fulfill the requirements. And I would say, and I'm often asked on that, is it working, is it not working? It depends on what you expect from it. If you expect a machine that gives you 100% perfect answer to your question, and the question is very often a detailed question, no, it will fail. This is not the strength of such a tool. You might ask, so what is it, why do we use it? The use case for that is, especially for detailed question, is that it first offers you a range of, in our case, DPA reports on that particular question, or similar to that. Yeah? And it also gives the bot, or the RAG, also builds a small extract of that. And I would say I would doubt the extract, because I doubt everything which comes from a bot. This is a rule. Don't trust a bot in general, but you can work with it. So on the one hand, you have quite fairly good articles from DPA which touch the question you had, and you might check the answer of the bot, which the bot has set together from all the information. And the good thing is you can check it. You can check, and you have to check it. I mean, we are journalists, so we check information. This speeds up our research process on that. So if you want to speed up your research with a RAG, and if the RAG works properly, and we are still not at the end, we have to improve, our technical colleagues have to improve it every day. We get better and better in that process. But as I have said, it is mostly true, which is good, but you always have to check it. But it gives you answers. Let me give you, for example, one question, then I come to your question. A question is, we have a pop singer in Germany. You have not heard about her, doesn't matter. Her name is Helene Fischer. And Helene Fischer, if you might ask the question, so how many of her albums became #1 in the charts? And there is no particular DPA news that answers that question in the past. But it offers you a range of DPA news about her popular new album, so on and so on. So here's another important thing. You can use chatbots deeply when you are a topic expert. When you are somehow know some things, when you work for whatever the yellow team in your company, familiar with pop songs and so on, you can work with that stuff. You can put things together. I have no idea about pop music, I have to admit, apart from fashion. And so I might get lost. Maybe the bot, it will be 95% true, but maybe there is a mistake in there. If I'm not an expert in pop music, I might make a mistake. And from these, let's say, 10 results the bot offers you, 10 news of DPA, 6 or 7 are really good. They're really good. They help you to answer the question. You're a lot faster. But one out of that is the following. So the question is about Helene Fischer, and one, I tested it yesterday, and one example was how to prepare fish for your sushi. Okay, and you might say, that's so stupid, I don't use that tool. To be honest, Hey, that's always how we journalists work. You have information, and especially if you work for a news agency, you're very fast in deciding. That's helpful. Yeah, that's good. That's interesting. That's rubbish. That's good. That's good. So in a few seconds, you got let's say seven articles which are very helpful. And of course, you are clever enough to say that one is not good. And if you would ask me, should we absolutely take care that there is no nonsense answer in that, I would say, have your efforts on other goals, because that's not a problem for us. We are the masters of the process, so we can solve these things. So from that perspective, to say, to help you in your research, to make you faster, that is definitely successful, I would say. Excuse me, you had a question, and I was talking.
My name is Rona. It's just a quick question, because you mentioned already what languages are available and what languages are incoming for these two. Just that.
Generally, you can think about like all the languages that are on the internet, and the more of that language is on the internet, the better those tools will work for that language. So unfortunately, if there's not a lot of like Swahili or Amharic from Ethiopia on the internet, then these tools won't work nearly as well for those languages. And that's something that a lot of folks are working on too. And it's unfortunate reality for a lot of technology that it starts with just the biggest sort of markets, and then it takes a while to get into these other markets.
Richard, should I show the rack? Would you agree on that? Was that too fast?
Yeah, I mean, we can, maybe I'll just add one more thing, which is interesting, which is a lot of you probably don't know how to program. Who here has ever programmed in like Python or something? Actually, you know, like that's good, like 10% or so. Like this thing will program also for you if the question requires it in some cases. So we have a compute mode, for instance, or agent on you.com, and if you upload a table or a CSV file or Excel spreadsheet or something, and you ask like, oh, what's the average number of this and that in this table, it might realize, oh, I should actually program a statistics code for you in order to then answer that question. And that's one of those many things where you might start to appreciate the technology in the sense of that used to have, you have to go to some other data analyst and say, oh, here, I have this spreadsheet, I need to understand what the patterns are in this particular data. Now the AI will just program that for you, and you can manage, and intranet can also code. So yeah, we can jump into...
I'll need your device. Okay. Sorry, I'll just plug you off, okay?
Take it up. Yeah.
Cool. So this is a workshop, so technical interruption. I hope it will open up. So here you can see, no, we have to say, the rack as it works as a result. Excuse me, it's in German. I will translate it for you. So a journalist threw in the question, give me examples for big cultural events this year. Cultural department, news agency, put things together. You're an expert, you're an editor. That's what it is. So you see on the right, you see a number of DPA articles. And none of the articles says these are the big cultural events this year, because we didn't write a story on the big cultural events this year, but we have a lot of reporting on cultural events. Is each of it a big one? That's difficult to decide for the bot. That's the journalist's work, is that a big one? But that helps us. Our colleagues working in the cultural department at DPA, they know most of these events. They are able, and that is always the question. People ask me, so what if the bot forgets an important event? I say, yeah, that might happen. It's not very likely, but that might happen. So I tell then people, okay, if you want to have it 100% guaranteed, take your 8 hours, read through our materials from the last days or month, and there you're fine. I don't have these 8 hours. How much time do you have for that task? Maybe 10 minutes. Okay, then the bot, if you have 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes, I promise you the bot is always better than you are. So here are the results. And there's another thing with the results. I usually, when you generally work with chatbots, I say I'm giving you a warning about these super perfect answers, where the bot is telling you something, that's apart from the rec, that's with the web. The bot gives you a superb answer to your question. Doubt it, dear colleagues, doubt it if it's super, if it's fantastic. It fulfills your need, it wants to help you. The best bot answers are those where you say, yeah, I might have come to that as well, yeah. but not in 10 seconds or in 5 seconds. So here are the results. And I'm not going through that in detail. There's, what's the word, Kulturhauptstadt, the capital of culture in Europe, that's Chemnitz in Saxonia, reporting on that, and some other events, European Peace Ride, art, and so on and so on. And you might then build your story. On the left, you see how the bot summarized the information. That's what I was talking about before. We would never copy and paste this left part into our news stories. Never. Yeah? It is most probably correct. Maybe I would say 95%. I have not checked this, which is on the screen right now. Most probably is correct, but that's not enough, especially not for a news agency. So you check it. But when you know that it's an accuracy rate of, I don't know, 95%, then in one of 20 cases it's not true. Nevertheless, you check it, and most likely you go through it. Where's the advantage? The advantage is that editing is faster than writing. You edit it, you check it, you go through it, you have footnotes here. You can see here's a footnote, then it opens up. On the right, that's the DPA story. That's 100%, that is published. That's for sure. And then you check, like AI, you have heard that is an assistant. Not less and not more. And this is how we work at DPA. We're still testing it, we're developing it, and that's how we work with it. And it, from all users' feedback at DPA, it speeds up processes at DPA. Because unfortunately, might be different for other journalists. Agency journalism is multitasking. You have to do 5 things at the same time, unfortunately. So these tools help you to become better, to become faster. Questions so far to the REC, to the results? Yes, please.
Basically, you're using this model for internal research. Did you think about integrating in a, let's say, public section of the website so you can...
Wonderful question. Thank you very much. We are a B2B company. We have no public section, but we have clients who are, it's in an early stage, we have clients who subscribe to our services, and they will think about these things. I'm a news agency journalist. I have never written for the public itself, only, like as it is. So should a media outlet give the results directly to their audience? I don't know. This is not that I'm totally skeptical on that. That's another decision. Again, my position is always, if you work with AI, there's always a human in the loop. It's the human being in the beginning and it's a human being at the end. That is how I understand working with AI. If a client might use it differently, up to them. Might be for other things, but with limited guarantees on that.
Yeah, we do actually have like Wort- und Bildverlag that do Apothekenumschau, for example, a big pharmacy magazine in Germany. They have at the top where you used to have like a search field. That search field is now also an answer field. It won't just give you like a string matching of like, oh, you mentioned this exact term. I'll show you. Oh, yeah, there it goes.
I don't know. In Welt-Token, I don't know. That's not us.
Maybe just refresh it.
Okay, sure.
I don't know what. That's a different website.
Okay. Excuse me, that's not my turf, but I know that they use it for the public. I hope it is. We have this set my blood pressure a little bit higher. We have issues with the internet. There it is.
Yeah. All right. So then it will give you answers, and then all the citations come only from that website. And if you scroll down, you'll see sort of the traditional list of sources, and they all come from that source. So now you get to keep your people, your users, actually longer on your own site. They learn, this is kind of what I'm hoping most journalists and most publishers will have in the end. You can keep readers on your site, and if they think about something related to pharmacy or health, they go to that website rather than to ChatGPT, and they know that all the citations come from a legit source that they already knew because they were on that site.
Okay. And then move over to agents, or what do you say?
Sure, yeah. Let's go on. I think there's one more question.
Yeah, sure.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm just not sure that I understand. Okay, if I ask something and it doesn't know the answer, will it like ChatGPT just comes up with a question and imagine something, or it will give me some the closest information to my request?
That's a very good question.
Yeah, it highly depends on who you're asking and what kind of system you're asking. Like u.com will say, I don't know if there is no answer about that question anywhere on the web. ChatGPT will likely make something up if it can't find the answer. And we're training the DPA system also in a way that it will say, we don't have that information in our archives.
That's a very important question, what you said. What we experience, and that's my task as an AI trainer, I train our people to ask the right questions. Sounds strange, but you remember this example Astrid gave on the panel is Jürgen Klopp is a football trainer, used to be a trainer in Borussia Dortmund. He left Dortmund in 2015. Tell me all the trainers who had been succeeding Jürgen Klopp after 2015, and I added in brackets, give me also the exact dates when they started, when they left. So that might be, maybe that is too much for the bot. So I left that detail, give me all the exact dates. I left it out from my prompt, and then it worked. So what we do, if the bot tells you I can't answer this, does not automatically mean that he doesn't have any information. Maybe you should turn your question. But this is also experience with the tool. But as Richard has said, no, there are in the way no hallucinations as we see it usually on that. Cool. Yeah.
Hi, this is Alex from Europod podcast agency. I will have a question for you, Richard. How far away is u.com in analyzing audio to give the answers? I mean, do you already have worked with this through transcripts?
Yeah, you can already, like on the app that you can just download, you can just talk to it and it'll transcribe directly. If you have a larger project where you have a lot of audio files, we can also work with you. It's not like out of the box, you just drag and drop them in, but we can work together on analyzing audio data as well.
Thank you very much. So far, if you still have questions, just keep them in mind. We will be also available afterwards. The second part of today's workshop will be about agents. Nothing to do with James Bond, unfortunately, more about journalistic stuff. And I ask you in advance a little bit about agents or custom GPTs or special GPTs. I remember 2 years ago when AI, ChatGPT, everything was on the rise, there was a lot of optimism in journalism as well, and skepticism, which is still there, of course. And I remember being on conferences and talking to editors-in-chief and CEOs of news companies, and I've heard a lot of optimism in their view. And to be honest, maybe somewhere in their head there was the idea, do we need so many journalists to do that work? Maybe an AI can help us. That was their idea. And it didn't work. Good, it didn't work that way. AI can't replace journalists in quality journalism. It's impossible. Quality journalism. I'm not talking about clickbaiting stories. Quality journalism can't be replaced by AI, not for now, and I'm quite optimistic not in the future. So this big solution from above, here's the tool, use it, and we replace the people, doesn't work. Yay, thank God, that's good, because I'm a journalist. I want to be a journalist in the future, and I want my young colleagues to be journalists in the future. And the solution to implementing AI into journalism is small solutions from down below. That's fascinating. I mean, for 40 years I'm in journalism, and it's the first time that innovation comes not from above, but from down. What does that mean? Who in the audience is working as a journalist? Wonderful. So you have particular topics you're writing about. Maybe you work for a bigger media outlet, and you're an whatever economic editor. You work for Children News. You're doing audios and all that. So you have particular needs in your daily work. There are workflows which are always. You have to get through big data. PDF. Germany has a new government. There's a new government program. That's a document of 150 pages. You have to analyze it. What about the medical treatment in rural districts? What does the new government promise to help people on the countryside? And so on and so on. So there are a lot of tasks. And I usually ask journalists in workshops, just think about 3 reasons why you love to be a journalist. I'm not asking which they are. And then I present also work tasks every day, which are not that interesting, to be honest. One of them is, reading through big documents. Preparing an interview with an author who wrote a new book, and you had no time to read the book. You had no time. I had that lately at DPA with a colleague. He said, I will go to an interview, I will ask the author, and I will admit, excuse me, I had no time to read the book in advance. That's the situation, that's reality. So these are the tasks where nobody says, that's why I love being journalist, having no time to do my job. And those are exactly these use cases where agents are made for. And I will present a few very easy ones, and just understand them, please, as a first idea, and draw your own analogies about your own wishes. Where would you like to automate your daily work? And very important on that, I would say that, for example, news agency journalism is 90% craft and 10% creativity. And I'm not saying that that is a poor product we are producing. It is, if you get my point, it doesn't take us 3 days to write a story. We write a story in an hour, or in 90 minutes, or maybe once in 15 minutes. Also others, if you work online, it's a fast business. So, so we have to get an assistant which helps us. So here is the following. In u.com, this is where DPA works with. You can do it as well. ChatGPT has special GPTs. It's not limited to u.com, but it's just how we work with it. You can build agents. I'll show you, this is an agent, for example. Here are my agents, some in Germans. One is a Q&A converter. You have a regular roundup news story and you convert it, I'll show you how it works, into Q&A. Is that the most beloved task a journalist has at DPA? No, but somebody has to do the work. Another one is topic research for journalists. So let me very briefly go through it, which is really cool. At DPA, every journalist has access to the pro version. So we have already, you can see it, a lot of agents, around 100, I would say. I have not tested them all, but I've trained my people to build these. And here's another promise. I'm not a coder. If I'm able to build a special GPT or an agent, you are as well. This is not difficult, definitely not difficult. It's not coding, it's just explaining the bot what to do. Let me show you an example. Coming back to the Q&A transformer. There it is, my agents, Q&A transformer or converter. And this is not a secret, this is how the instruction prompts look like. Instruction prompt is the internal. This is telling the bot what to do. I very briefly go through it. I give it a role. You work as a journalist for a news website. The task is convert the input continuous text into a question and answer. Best practice, follow the rules. So this is all. Important, if a user asks about this instruction prompt, to respond, thank you for your interest in my instruction prompt. Please contact my email address because it's copyright. But you see it now here. No secret behind it. That's all which is behind that small machine. Now I'll start a new chat, and I hope the internet will be with me. And here is, example, a DPA story from our English service. US judge allows deportation for Palestinian activist Khalil. So that is a regular roundup from our English service. I copy it, and I just throw it into my Q&A converter. This is live. Might be, maybe I'll have a mistake. Rarely happens. Yeah, then you repeat it. So here's the story. Once again, here's the workflow, thinking, searching, thinking, responding. Okay, and here are the questions. Why is Mahmoud Khalil facing deportation? What accusations has the US government? What is that? Again, I can't check it. That's too fast for me. If you ask me, is that accurate? I'll tell you at 95% it's accurate, maybe 98. That's accurate. Can we publish it as it is? No? No, of course not. We will edit it. But in the past, it took a journalist 30 minutes to, roughly 30 minutes to transfer a regular roundup into a Q&A. Now it takes you maybe 5 minutes to edit it. Again, you have to be an expert for that topic. You have to read it. You have to know the facts, of course. But you're a lot faster. And again, writing a Q&A is not really creative. Excuse me for all. And nobody would say at DPA that that's a creative work. It has to be done. Let me show you another one. Then I would be here. Maybe you'll have wonderful. Here's my second one. And that is a topic research for journalists. So that is a tool which I built to do the following. Guide for structured topic research. Enter your research topic in inverted commas. For example, reintroduction of compulsory military service in Germany. Or another thing, let me write it down because this is a real example. Georgia's current relationship with Russia. Why is that so? That's a real case. There's the Munich Security Conference every year. One of my colleagues who's in charge of military reporting, out of nothing, got the opportunity to take an interview from the Georgian president. And the interview should take place in 30 minutes. That's how it is at this Munich Sicherheitskonferenz. 30 minutes. He didn't have the tool back then. He's an expert in things, but just to remember. So this tool, for example, that's how I build it, not complicated. Of this topic, Georgia's current relationship, overview and basics, context and examples, perspective, and so. And here are the links. And in this case, it's not a RAG. It is not limited to DPA. We've got a Wikipedia article. What are the other sources? Here's another one, Wilson Center, whatever. So again, this is for preparing an interview. Again, it was most likely this is all correct because it's rather not very detailed information. And thus, it helps you. And again, he's an expert. He doesn't know every detail about Georgia and Russia, but the overall structure is clear and the relationship with Ukraine as well. So prepare your interview with the Georgian president in 30 minutes. This will help you. You got a question.
Hello. One thing which sort of concerns me is how I put all of my information into one chatbot, and the chatbot knows exactly what I'm doing, what I'm working on, where is all the information going, and it basically has a record of, I personally use chatbots. I work as an AI prompt engineer, so I know exactly how useful it is. I know how to work with prompts. But then I feel like I keep trying to avoid this and be like, okay, I know that like ChatGPT has so much of my information. It knows what things I worked on. It knows the next things I am going to work on. It knows my scripts. It knows what videos I'm going to work on. Yeah, basically you get the gist. So how do we ensure that our information is secure, or is it even something which we can ensure?
Yeah, I think cybersecurity is obviously like a really important aspect, and I think depending on where you work in the world, it's important that you have two-factor authentication, that you have strong passwords on your machines. There's all kinds of things that are outside of this that is relevant for journalist safety. In the case of you.com, especially when you're an actual paying customer, right? We don't sell your data. Like if you're a free, there's this famous saying, if the product is free, you are the customer. Your data is what's being sold, right? And that's the case on Google and everywhere else. If you're a paying customer to an enterprise software, like your data stays for just you, and it's only used for whatever you're doing. There's no model training, there's zero data retention, there's no data that can be identified and tied back to you by any other service. And that's a guarantee. Like we work with banks, we work with hedge funds, we work with insurance companies. We're not sending their data to the world. Like we would be out of business tomorrow. So the same is true for journalists. I can't guarantee that, obviously, if you use ChatGPT or some other tools, but you.com, that's the case. Yeah.
Thank you. I have a question about fact-checking. Like
good.
how, yeah.
Wonderful. No, ask your question first. No, I'm very happy because I'm a fact checker.
I wonder like how you used it precisely for that. Like have you ever asked like the prompt, like is this statement true, false? Like how did it work?
So if let's divide it into two things. The core fact checking is get your facts right. That's how we use it. Definitely like about our reporting is that year the precise, is that was when Netanyahu was in Washington after re-election of Trump, are there any signs that he met also Elon Musk? No, for example, that's how we check. The other thing is, another part of fact-checking is like this claim checking. That's where we work, and some of our friends here in the audience as well. That is very, very difficult for bots in general, and fact-checking is really particular. It means claim checking. That's a totally different discipline. I rarely would use AI for claim checking because it's overcomplicated. And this brings me to the point of accuracy, what I've talked about before, and also the question of it is needed. What I usually say it is, bots are always plausible. That's how they work. It's pattern recognition. It's always plausible. But plausible does not mean that it's correct. And this is the case. And you just draw a line. If it's It very, very often happens that the bot, it's not even wildly hallucinating. It is simply, it all sounds very plausible, but if you are an expert, you dig deeper, that's not correct. And this is the point, which is in a way good, because we, the journalists, have to do that. And I don't know if AI in future will be able to do that in general. Last minutes. I promised also, I'll be here later on outside to discuss your agent things if you have an idea. Let me show you the last one, which is a creative one. This is called the edutainment opener. I don't know if you know the format of edutainment. Have you heard of that? That's education and entertainment, a mixture. Wonderful for video, for YouTube channels, just as an idea, edutainment. And I built a machine, and that was really a lot of work. I put 100 hours of work in that. I like it. I hope you like it too. So here, for example, is a question. And the question is, what happened before history? Would be a perfect question for an edutainment format. What happened before history? Now let's look what my little agent offers me for that. And again, this will be not genius, I promise you, not genius. But it might be a good thing to get faster out of the starting block when you work on it. What happened before history? Before the first written words, before the first cities, even before humans themselves. Picture a world where the Earth's surface was a massive stage for epic battles between creatures and so on, where continents danced around the globe and where life itself was barely clinging into survival. This is a story of and so on and so on. I would not use it that way, definitely not. But it might help you to get into a story. Here's another example, very easy one. Barefoot walking in summer. Before I started, I fed this system with a lot of good examples. Again, if you refresh it, you'll get other versions. And I can promise you that it gets you a lot faster into that topic. As I said, as an opener for that, as an idea. You might know the phenomena of the white paper, when you have to write an article on things, and how should I start with it? Again, I would never use it fully, because as said, it is craft, not genius, not creative. Here is barefoot walking in summer. Maybe you're doing a customer piece on that, and why not using it for that? Walking barefoot in summer feels like freedom. The cool grass between your toes, the warm pavement under your soles, it connects you to the earth in a way shoes never can. But what's really going on when you ditch your footwear? And so it goes on, it goes on. Again, as said, if this is not DPA, we'd write a little bit different, unfortunately. But as said, it can pull you into the story and can give you a starting point to think about how to start your story.
Love it. I think we had 2 more questions.
This is a question for Richard. You talked about if it's an enterprise customer, the data doesn't get used for training. Is it the same for individual paying customers?
Individual, yes. Like as soon as you're paying, it's your data. Last slide. Don't share this online, please. We've had a lot of fraud, but yeah, this will get you the most sophisticated RE, which is an advanced research and insights agents that will go through 400 different websites to write very long exposés and research for you.
There's another question over there, if we still have a few seconds. Yeah, that's the last question.
Hi. I'm interested to get your thoughts on the fact that a lot of people do AI because it's cool rather than drives value for their company. So I'm interested to know which tools you've developed have been the most valuable, have had the most impact for the business, maybe in terms of driving productivity or saving people time, but very specific to which ones have driven value rather than just being cool.
Yeah, okay. We can optimize our working process. We can work faster. We want our journalists to have more time to be creative. That's the point. As my examples, yeah, there has to be work to be done, but less time you spend on those iterative tasks. You get more time on being a journalist, being creative. We also will use it for new products. So in the past, a new product always meant that somebody had to write it newly. So, but again, the power of transforming material. Having, let's say, a news agency has about, I don't know, 100 news on the economic desk. Maybe you just analyze it from the perspective of a particular industry, yeah, in a way. So yeah, the AI could transform things from the taxpayer's perspective. Again, we will always have somebody at the end, a human being, which will check it, control it. So that can be also there. Well, new products, always human controlled, human checked, but a lot more opportunities to work with our material, our raw materials on that. That's how we see it so far, and I guess there are another ideas also which do not come to my mind in this second. Okay, right. We need to close.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much. Still available outside. Thank you. Thank you.